let's talk about these pre-orders, man. We got to make fun of this. We have to make fun of this. These pre-orders are hilarious. Okay. Sorry, Smash JT, if you have an article on this, but I'm using Fandom Pulse for this one. Retail pre-orders for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle are over 86% worse than even Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, I want you guys to keep a couple things in mind, okay? And I say this every single time we talk about pre-orders. When it comes to retail physical pre-orders, I don't take the number itself very seriously because most of the sales come from digital. You know that. I know that. We all know that. However, it does correlate. We have noticed that it does correlate over into digital. So if the physical is extremely low, then chances are the digital is also extremely low. Obviously, nowhere near as low as the physical, but it's still an indicator that things are not going to look good for the digital sales. So this is why we talk about it, because it gives us an idea of what's actually going down with the game that we're looking at. So again, 86% worse than Dragon Age the Veilguard. That's got to be extremely, extremely painful for people to admit that this game is doing that bad. So a retail insider has shared pre-order numbers for Machine Games' upcoming Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, revealing that the game has sold 86% less pre-orders compared to Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, again, damn it, they put it behind a paywall, you sons of bitches. That's fine. I got the point, though. Now, is this game coming out on PC? I don't remember. Let me check really quick. Indiana Jones. Is this game coming out on PC? Yes. Indiana Jones and the... Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at the Steam numbers so far. Okay? So we got Steam numbers here. Look at the followers. Look at the followers, right? 41,909 followers. It's number 28 in the wish list, and it's number 248 in the top seller. Now, I want you guys to keep a couple of things in mind. Dragon Age the Veilguard shot all the way up to like number 4 in top sellers, or number 4 in whatever. Like it went really high. And look how much that game is tanking, right? I don't see this game doing very well at all. I gotta imagine that it's probably lucky if it gets 20,000 or less. Even though it's being published by Bethesda, which a lot of people will take, not at face value, but a lot of people will take into consideration. I don't think people are looking forward to this game that much. Not as much as they're probably hoping. Now, you got to imagine Indiana Jones probably has a massive budget. I don't know exactly what that budget is. Let me see if I can find that information for you really quick. Let me copy and paste this. Budget. I can't find it. So I don't know what the budget is for this game, but you got to imagine, considering it's an Indiana Jones game, just for the IP alone, you got to imagine it's a lot of money, right? Plus, I believe this game heavily focuses on stealth, or mostly on stealth, kind of, sort of. Like, it's first person, right? I feel like this game should not be first person. Am I the only one that feels that way? I feel like if you're going to do an Indiana Jones game, it should be third person. Give us like an Uncharted experience, but with Indiana Jones. I mean, Uncharted damn near basically is Indiana Jones to some extent. You might as well give us a third person experience. I just don't understand the move to first person. I feel like the first person decision was probably more of like a Bethesda thing to be in line with all their other games. But even Bethesda offers a third person mode for their first person games. Like, you could play your Elder Scrolls games in third person. You could play your Fallout games in third person. There's no reason to not have a third person mode. Unless they do, and I don't know, then I'll admit I don't know. I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, they don't have a third person mode. I haven't heard anything. I know, like, when you do certain attacks, it goes to third person, but I don't think there's a way for you to actually stay in third person mode. So this entire thing just screams like an odd combination and imagining how much money they spent on Indiana Jones, I just don't see how this is going to make its money back. But you know what I've come to realize over the the years I've been doing this is that ultimately not every game that's made is made with the intent to make its money back or to profit, which I'm sure you guys would agree with. If I would even argue that probably 75% of the games, 80% of the games made today by AAA developers are not made with the idea of getting their money back or profiting. They are made with the idea that they serve a purpose, and whatever that purpose may be, some of these AAA games are used as sacrifices to get people to subscribe to their services, right? So even though they know that putting these games up on Game Pass for day one Game Pass is going to ruin the opportunity for sales for this game, they will sacrifice the game anyway in the hopes to garner more subscriptions and to keep those subscriptions. They sacrifice these games in order to do that. Or sometimes they sacrifice these games for the message. The message is also another reason why, right? The message has to go out there, has to be a thing, and they'll sacrifice some of these bigger games, bigger IP with established IPs. They will sacrifice these games in order to garner the message, to push the message. But if it's not those two things, then sometimes they just put out the game just because they're already paid and it doesn't matter. It's not about making their money back. They wanted to make their money, and they got paid through funding governmentally, like Dustborn or whatever. So games like that don't even care about making money. They can sell 0 copies and not care about the money. They only care about trying to get as many people to get indoctrinated by the game as possible. That's all they care about. So it's one of those three things. Either they're governmentally funded and it doesn't matter, or it's for the message, or it's to sacrifice the game to try to get more subscriptions for whatever service they offer. It's one of those three. That's where most of these AAA games fall in terms of a category. And then the other 20% are trying to make money. Usually the Asian games. How sad is that? Usually it's the Eastern games that are trying to make money. Black Myth Wukong, perfect example. They're trying to make money. And they not only just try, they made a stupid amount of money. Shift Up, Stellar Blade. They wanted to make as much money as possible so that they could go public with the best opportunity to have the highest stock whenever they actually went public, which actually worked out for them. So go figure. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, this game is not looking good. And if the physical retail pre-orders are actually almost 90% less than Dragon Age VEILGUARD, then I'm going to have to say that this game is cooked. It's cooked. There's no way that we're saving this game. Absolutely no way. And I got to imagine that it has a little bit of an identity crisis. That's part of the issue with this game, too. It has a big-time identity crisis, and it doesn't know what it wants to be. It should have just been a third-person Uncharted-like adventure. I feel like many people would have at least been somewhat interested to check out a third-person adventure indie game that's similar to Uncharted, just with Indiana Jones. The Indiana Jones, you know? You might have had a lot more interest there, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting it. So, I guess we'll see, and we'll end up happening. But it's also coming at a time which is the worst time to introduce an indie game. Why you say that? Well, because the movie, I should say, was such a fucking disaster. It was such a disaster that indie in most people's minds right now is not in a good spot, right? Because the movies have ruined the idea of it. It's kind of like if you come up with a Star Wars game right now. Looking at you, Star Wars Outlaws. Not exactly the best time to come out with a Star Wars game. Because in people's minds, Star Wars is trash. And it's because of the movies and the overall IP being milked. It's the same thing with Indiana Jones. The last movie that came out absolutely crucified the franchise. So the last thing people want to do is jump into a video game as indie. You just watched indie get absolutely cucked. There's no reason for me to want to jump into the game and play with Indiana Jones. So not exactly the best time or the best place, but you know, they already dedicated time, money, and effort to it, so they got to release it no matter what. Unless they want to do a tax write-off, which I don't think they're ever going to do. Not for this. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, as time comes out, we'll find out more information about Indiana Jones, but I expect this game to go into the flop bin and will be on sale within the first month of it being released. Most likely.